Hey guys, it's your boy 14 Fluffies here today with another episode of Card Wars. Today we will be featuring two generic rank 3 XCs. The first being Super Quantal Mech Beast Grampulse, and the second being Ghostrick Alucard. So without further ado, let's just get into discussing these cards because they do very similar things with only one minor difference in how they perform. So let's start off with Grampulse. Grampulse effect reads that once returned, you can detach an XC material from this card to target one spell or trap on the field and destroy it. And even though there's a lot of other text to it, all of it pretty much just applies to its use and its in the deck it hails from, which is Super Quantums. So yeah, it has a lot of utility in that deck just because obviously if you have a blue layer attached to it, you can use the effect to destroy a spell or trap during either player's turn. And if you're playing it in Quantums, you can activate this card's effect to attach a Super Quantum monster from your hand to this card as an XC material. But we're going to be using both of these cards in the context of them being splashed in as generic rank 3s. Obviously, if we were going to have this be a discussion of these two cards in their own decks, this would be a completely different discussion in and of itself. Just because, well, they wouldn't be used for quite the same purposes. But yeah, but on to Grampulse though. The main thing that Grampulse has going for it that Alucard has never had is the fact that, well, it can pop face-up spell and traps, which would mean things like floodgates that are already face-up on the field spells, stuff like that. And not to mention, if your opponent would chain the card that you're targeting with Grampulse, it would still be destroyed, which is something that Alucard had an issue with too, so yeah. And not to mention, even though the Alucard and Grampulse both have 1800 attack, Grampulse has a really nice 2800 defense, which is also really nice. So you're going to always be putting this thing in defense mode because it's going to be relatively difficult to run over. But yeah. And really, because these cards are so similar, the only real downside I could actually find for Grampulse in particular is the fact that it cannot attack when it does not have XC materials. So, yeah. So obviously this card is very solid. It's really, really good removal for back row. And yeah, it's a really solid card. But let's talk about Alucard now. Actually, let's just start off by reading Alucard's effect. The relevant part of it, at least, is that once per turn, you can detach one material from this card and target one set card your opponent controls and destroy it. So, the main thing that sets Alucard apart from Grampulse is the fact that it can pop any set card, not necessarily a spell or trap. So, Alucard can potentially pop set monsters. And even though that is a bit situational, there are obviously cards like Burying Mirror Force out there which will set monsters when they attack into it. So that's a thing as well. Book of Moon isn't seeing a lot of play, but I mean it's still a card that is fairly good in this format. But yeah, if the Alucard can pop set monsters, and let's not forget that Alucard is dark. So I mean, if you're playing Phantom Knights, you probably should be playing the one Alucard just because of the fact that you can make it 2800 if you have a Ragged Gloves attached to it, which is a really nice interaction because you can have a 2800 Alucard while still popping back row and set monsters. So yeah, so it has utility in that respect, but obviously, just for the sake of humor here, if you were to compare Grampulse and Super Quantums versus Alucard and Ghostricks is just way better than Grampulse could ever be in Quantums, just because of the fact that, one, this card recycles any Ghostrick card in your graveyard. I'm pretty sure it's not monsters, it's any Ghostrick card, if I'm correct. If I can read it to the camera. If I can get it to focus. Yeah, Ghostrick card. Yeah, it's not that important, really, because Ghostricks aren't really that... Since Ghostricks have never been meta, and you're not going to be seeing them all that much in the format anyway. But yeah. Yeah, so, another real difficult thing about Alucard is the fact that it cannot pop a card that it targets if the card is chained. So, like, if you're targeting, say, a spell or trap, and they chain the spell or trap, it's not going to be destroyed. It's ruled the same as, it's not Night Beam, but, what was it? I don't remember, but yeah. Alucard is much easier to play around than Grampulse just because of the fact that, the fact that you can pretty much chain your cards and you can still keep them. But yeah, But I think because of that, and because of the fact that Alucard can only pop set cards, I feel like that's the reason why people have dropped Alucard for Grampulse. Both seem like they'd have their own utility. I mean, if I were to play like Phantom Knights or PK Fire, I would be playing one of each, just because of the fact that if I can get a 2800 Alucard with Ragged Gloves under it. So yeah, I mean, but if you're not doing that, I'd probably say Grampulse over Alucard, just because it really is better. But yeah, that's my opinion. But I feel like these two are really close. I mean, they're both really good, but as far as in this meta, in this format, Grampulse is just a superior card over Alucard. But that's just my opinion. You guys can leave what you guys think in the comment section. So yeah, make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.